touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma Race fans. We come at you here live tonight from Papyrus Motorsports Park. A very unique track. Not often do you see races like this one, as it is a hybrid Superspeedway / Roadcourse that we are on here tonight. A very unique, very tough to tame track that should make for some good racing action here tonight. Site of the closest finish ever in Sigma Cup history. Tyler Shangle by a 0.0001% margin. Or not percent, what am I saying? 0.0001 seconds of a margin. Beat Aaron Rapp here back in 2020. So hopefully we get to see another photo finish like that, but don't hold out. It could happen. But let's get through tonight's starting lineup. Starting on the front row, you've got race winners on the season already. Taden Bergeron and Monty Shangle. Front row start. Next row back, you've got the 77 of Preston Kundo and the 78 of Bradley Ream. Ewan Woodarmy, who had to come through the sprint qualifier alongside Sebastian Torres. Finley Herwig with a good start here tonight alongside Brian DeBlanc. Kind of interesting to think that this track is a super speedway, but perhaps some of your road course veterans actually have kind of an upper edge here tonight. And I was eyeballing Finley Herwig when I said that. Then you've got Tasha Wright and James Fireball Robert for KBM, Cording Brothers Motorsports. Next row back, you've got Jacob Shangle alongside Tom Cording, the other KBM entry right there in the number 30 machine. Jimmy Logano and Craig the Void, followed by Ryan Little and Wyatt Wilkinson, Lynn Farrell and Kara Shangle, Chaz Chadwick and Alex Crowther. The last of the KBM entries in the field here tonight, Luis Rodriguez starting mid-pack alongside Lucas Holmes, runner-up at Texas. Tyler Shangle and Chris Harvey, Louis Trost and Tyler Aspinall, Cooper Dwight and Chad Hertenstein, with Sebastian Galloway Jr. alongside Kevin Xavier, Al Bunch with Liz Shangle, Carson Bowers with Kellen Relic, Braden Varga with John Hagan, Dave Steele Jr. with the 42 of Brandon Butler II, Tristan Reams and Tyler Landa, Rich Roy and Trevor Walker with Eli the Wolf tail end of the field yet again. This 94 really has not been able to find his speed here. His win came at a super speedway, though, so we'll see if the super speedway makes a difference or not. Could be a possibility.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Settle in, folks, for some good racing here tonight. Part of a doubleheader week we have. Not quite the weekend yet. Wish it was. Thursday, we're so close. And we're going to be racing again tomorrow night on Friday the 13th. A staple on the calendar for Sigma Racing. We've been racing on Friday the 13th pretty regularly. We already had one earlier this year. Last month we had a Friday the 13th race. And that one was spectacular for many reasons. Daytona was a very wreck-filled race. That by the end of it, Cooper Dwight took home victory. Well, we might just dial that thing up to 11 again tomorrow night at 8 Bowl Super Speedway for the 8 Ball Annual on Friday the 13th. We've actually raced that event on Friday the 13th before, so history repeats itself once again. Here we go, off to the races here tonight. Taden Bergeron gets the early lead over Monty Shangle. And you're going to notice here real quickly how unique this track is. They're turning left right now. Once they get around this segment of turns, they're going to go straight, and they're going to hang a right when they get down the hill here. Coming down the hill, charging into the right-hander. Very, very fun, frantic, fast racing here today. It's going to test these drivers and their ability to turn left and right. Jacob Schenkel rolling off the momentum last week at Texas. Took home his first victory of 2026 and giving Biffle the Tribute Biffle scheme a visit to victory lane, which is always nice. Right there, you got the 68 of Finley Herwig right there on the low side. The only tough part about this track is the camera angles are not ideal. I mean, you've got left hand, right hand all around racing. It's hard to catch all the action on the racetrack. Heck yeah, I'm glad we got Symphony on the number 90 machine and the other team cars paying tribute to Tasha and her dog, unfortunately off in doggy heaven right now, but the memories will last and they'll be able to cherish those memories going forward. And hopefully we can see Symphony in victory lane with these team cars that are putting on a good showing so far this season. 95, Fireball's been into victory lane already this season. Currently at the moment running top 10. We've also got Tasha in the top 15 as well as Tom Cording and Luis Rodriguez on the move. KBM, Luis was the deepest in the field and he's starting to resurge, try to gain as many spots here as he can, get up with the rest of his teammates. So 60 laps is going to be a pretty quick race here tonight. This race goes by pretty quickly. It's 1 minute and 13 seconds, the distance of a lap here. And one of the common trends we usually see is kind of this breakaway at the front of the field, just as we are now, and turns into more of a kind of a drafting party with small groups of cars throughout the field. As you can see, Monty Schenkel right there in the lead group with Taden Bergeron and Preston Kundo. A resounding start to this race for that 77 machine, who is yet to find the speed that he's been hoping for from Tyler Schenkel Racing. It's kind of nice looking at this Greg Biffle tribute scheme for Monty Schenkel and the unveil today with Roush Fenway RFK Racing was that they're going to be doing their Darlington tribute schemes, and they look just like this 3M machine, the number 16 that Greg Biffle made famous. Different color patterns, which was also kind of common with Greg Biffle's design and all that. But man, it looks just like this machine that we're looking at right here. Spot on recreation of what would have been his 2010 3M machine. And with us kind of doing the Biffle tributes, it's kind of cool to see it happening with real life NASCAR as well. Monty Schenkel to the top spot. Here we go. Now that Monty took the lead, though, look at the rest of the field closing in right there on the top three. Taden Bergeron led about the first 4 laps there. Preston Kundo's held on to third solidly, but Bradley Ream joining the picture now, as well as Brian DeBlanc. But there we go, a battle for the lead. Switching up here between our two. Maybe another move made. Not quite. Monty's going to hold the lead steady. Heck yeah, battle of the green restaurants, that's funny. Taden Bergeron, honestly, this feels like the firecracker year for Taden Bergeron. I don't think many people really saw the time and effort he's put into this ride the last couple years, but it's finally showing and it's finally paying off. 43 of Taden Bergeron won his first career race here after being a a 3-year veteran of the series, basically. So he's had his fair share of chances to get up there to victory lane. Had a lot of runner-up finishes, just didn't get all the pieces in place to win. Well, and all of a sudden this year, Chevrolet has woke up from a very, very hardcore hibernation and looks to be on pace as one of the top manufacturers this year after the Jaguar departure. And Taden Bergen's been leading so many laps along with that race win that he had that he's going to be a threat for this title. Everyone else better look out. Now moving up to second, it's Preston Kundo. And third place, Bradley Ream, as the 85 of Brian DeBlanc also gets around Monty Shangle there. Preston Kundo looks like he may have a good race car here. Funny thing is, that's the 77 machine that's previously driven by Tyler Shangle, who in the number 77 machine had the closest finish here at Papyrus Motorsports Park. So, you know, maybe there's a little bit of books and intel on the 77 team to get Preston Kundo a good finish here today. Let's do a through the field glance here as things have kind of settled down at the lead for a moment. Obviously, Taden Bergen and Preston Kundo follow that up with Brian DeBlanc in the 85 machine, Monty Shangle in the 16, the 64 of Sebastian Torres. Kundo looking to try and take the lead here, though. Wow, look at it, 3 wide almost, not quite. Brian DeBlanc snuck his nose down there just to try it, and Preston Kundo takes the top spot now. And give everyone kind of a rundown on where they're running here tonight. Bradley Ream in 6th, Tom Cording in 7th, Fireball Robert 8th, Ewan Wood Army 9th, Finley Herwig with the solid top 10 here, Tasha Wright, Jacob Shangle, Ryan Little, and Alex Crowther. What are the numbers? There's a missing number here. Who fell back from 15th? Wow, Lynn Farrell dropped a couple spots there as Wilkinson moves up to 15th. Luis Rodriguez in 16th. Lynn Farrell drops back to 17th. Louis Trost in 18th. Craig the Void 19th. Looking kind of human here tonight after such a solid start to his career in the Sigma Cup Series. Jimmy Logano mid-pack, Tyler Shangle mid-pack, Lucas Holmes, Chaz Chadwick, Brandon Butler the second. He started near dead last on the field. He's already bounded to 25th. So it seems like his qualifying ain't all there, but the speed during the racing is top-notch for this 42 machine, as he started at the back many times and he's had to climb all the way through the field. Just imagine if he could put all the pieces together, get a good qualifying, and run as strong as he does. Chadwick, Bowers, Dwight, teammates there. Bowers and Dwight running nose to tail, maybe working together on a strategy here tonight. Chad Hertenstein in 27th, Tyler Aspinall in 28th, John Hagan 29th, 30th place Braden Varga. Man, what a fall from grace for Mr. Varga here. Your 2025 Rookie of the Year, and with his new venture as a team owner, it's not looking as great after losing that top tier KBM ride from 2025. So Braden Varga, I think, just gonna continue to try and learn the role of being an owner driver, and we'll see if he can improve throughout the year here. Just a tough start to the season. Then we got Kara Shangle, Chris Harvey, Liz Shangle, Dave Steele Jr., Al Bunch, and Kellen Relic, the Kellen Relic Racing teammates there, very far back in the field. This is so weird to see the Dodges struggle so hard like this. Right there in 38th, it's Sebastian Galloway Jr., 39th, Rich Roy, 40th, Tyler Landa, Eli the Wolf in 41st, Tristan Reams in 42nd, and Trevor Walker with a little bit of damage there. I'm assuming that's probably going to be from lap 1. So let's see where the damage was picked up. Ooh, a little bit later than lap 1. Knowing this racetrack, it's probably just got too close to the outside wall and clips it here. And I think I know exactly where on the racetrack. Right here. If you look, yep. Hits that outside wall. Loses a little bit of ground. And that's what dropped him to dead last on the field. Okay, so we did our through the field glance there. So Preston Kundo leads over Brian DeBlanc, Taden Bergeron, and now Sebastian Torres and James Fireball Robert climbing up into the top 5 there. DeBlanc seems to have kind of mixed results when it comes to super speedway races. One of those drivers that just has bad luck for having bad luck. And Brian DeBlanc here tonight leading. That means one thing for sure is he's up ahead of all the craziness behind him. So if there's a bright spot or a silver lining in all of this, at least he's ahead of what potentially could go wrong behind him. Taden Bergeron going for the lead here. Brian DeBlanc led a brief stint. Now Sebastian Torres, that 64 machine, climbing up into the top picture here. He's yet to lead in his career, so we'll see if maybe tonight is the night that he gets to lead a lap. Amongst your top, it looks like top 10 maybe, we've got 3 previous winners on the season. You look back to the top 15, you've got 4 of our winners on the season. No repeat winners yet, 6 different winners in the first 6 races. But as that number starts to grow larger, the less likely it is that we see new winners, that a repeat winner might become more possible. Taden Bergeron, man, leading so many laps. It's he should have had maybe 2 wins already this season. He dominated at Texas, and pit stops unfortunately derailed that race for him last week. But tonight, leading as many laps as he can, try to rack up the lead most lap bonus. And 3 wide for the lead. It's going to be Preston Kundo and Sebastian Torres, pair of drivers that came through the Sigma Gong Show. As you can see, that 77 and 64 used to be driven by the brothers, Jacob and Tyler. And they decided to change it up this year, jumping ship to go race MSM Ford for the father. And yeah, so that left their seats wide open, and we kind of did our own little Sigma Gong Show to figure out who was going to jump into the rides for the season. Sebastian Torres was the driver selected for the 64, the Genesis, not the Hyundai. And Preston Kundo was the driver selected for the 77 Dodge Charger. Man, I'm 2 for 2 on wrong calls there. Dodge Charger. And the 21 of Chad Hertenstein was selected to hop in Kara Schengel's ride, the number 21 Toyota Supra Schengel Toyota Racing entry. So it's definitely interesting to see those drivers are taking to it pretty well. Chad might be struggling a little bit on pace, but he's still very solidly. He's been able to finish mid-pack and stay out of trouble for the most part. Preston Kundo and Torres leading the way with Brian DeBlanc in third. $14 laps in, 46 laps to go. Lead lap tally looks a little bit something like this. 5 laps led by Preston Kundo, 7 laps led for Taden Berger, and 1 lap for Monty Shangle. And that is your laps led already. Only 3 leaders here tonight so far. Fastest lap belongs to the number 1 machine of Ewan What Army, who had to come through the sprint qualifier last night to make the main show here tonight. Whoa, and they fan out on the front stretch. It's one of the things I love the most about this racetrack, and the reason why it's the home of the closest finish in Sigma Cup history. When they come down that front stretch, they usually have a full head of steam running down to the start-finish line. And just like that, Preston Kundo was a sitting duck with nothing he could do differently there. Just gets shuffled out from the lead, falls back outside the top 5. Ewan What Army now moving into the picture here. Brian DeBlanc looking to try and secure the lead back after losing it. But the 43, it is Taden Bergeron actually leading the way. Brian DeBlanc has not yet led a lap here this evening. Single file down the back stretch. I guess it's kind of the back stretch because it's the long stretch heading into the final turn to the front stretch. See, we'll find out once pit stops happen here. I want to say it might be a 2-stopper, but it could potentially be a 1-stopper after halfway. We'll see. I want to say it's going to happen around lap 24, so it's going to be more like a 2-stopper race. We'll see if Taden Bergeron can maintain his lead like he's doing here tonight. Last week at Texas, pit stops were his great undoing. Hopefully they figured it out, and they'll be able to adjust and avoid the same downfalls that struck them last week. Brian DeBlanc, Sebastian Torres, Monty Shangle, and then James Fireball Robert, your top 5. Tasha Wright just barely outside the top 10 there, running in 11th. Preston Kundo, dang, he dropped all the way back to 12th. Ryan Little in 13th, Jacob Shangle in 14th. And then it's a battle for 15th as you've got some very heavy hitters in the mid-pack here. Jimmy Logano is no slouch when it comes to speed and race wins. Louis Trost has been trying to regain glory days as an owner driver. His first season racing for Tyler Aspinall Racing was his best season to date, and unfortunately has not been able to find victory lane near as much. 16th at the moment, not too bad. Could start gaining some more ground, fighting for a win here before you know it, but maybe not tonight. Jacob Shangle falls back a spot there, it looks like. Or maybe Louis Trost just gained that many. Yeah, Trost up to 14th. Did we have someone drop down pit road, perhaps? Did we miss something? No? Just a lot of shuffling up the front of the field. Sebastian Torres from third to what will now be the race lead if Monty Shangle didn't have anything to say about it. Here we are going down the front stretch. Torres leads that lap, but the 16 machine's going back for the lead. DeBlanc, Fireball, and Bergeron, your top 5. Ream, Herwig, Tom Cording, Ewan Wood Army, and Tasha right now, top 10. The Dollar Tree 42 machine of Brandon Butler II started way back in the field, and he's already climbed his way up into the top 20. How impressive is that? Wyatt Wilkinson with a top 20 run as well, there in 19th. Yeah, Dodge is going to be going back to the drawing board. Your 2024 Sigma Cup champion, Al Bunch. I don't know why. It's every time he's in a Dodge here in the Sigma Cup Series, it just goes off the rails really quickly. And for Al Bunch, was racking up all those wins with Jaguar. And to see him doing mediocre or just flat out bad like this is quite concerning. Who knows if that may strike a potential career change, move to a different team. Who knows if he ain't happy there. To go from winning races to then just not even being competitive at all, I don't think you really see that happen generally at all within the top tiers of motorsports. Usually if a driver's that good, they're going to have a ride for life, whichever team wants to keep them around. And we'll see the Al Bunch saga and how it unfolds from here, but not looking pretty here in 2026. And how about Eli the Wolf, who had a win to start the season, just has the same power plant with Kellen Relic Racing. They're gonna have to figure it out. Well, back to the front of the field. Taden Bergeron still holding the lead here over Monty Shangle. Brian DeBlanc in third. First driver running up front here without a win here in 2026. Here we got the 16 going low. 3 wide, though, perhaps, for the lead. DeBlanc falls back in line behind the 16. Monty to the top spot once again here tonight. The year of the Biff, and given that number 16 machine all it's worth up front. Lead laps, fight for wins. KBM, best driver at the moment for them. KBM Cadillac, it is James Fireball Robert. Previous winner at Atlanta for the Rebel 500. And shortly, we're going to start seeing where that fuel mileage sets these drivers for first rounds of pit stops here tonight. Actually, if we want to, we can kind of take a cheat glance. Garage says 26 laps, so yeah, they're going to probably start pitting anywhere at around lap 24 to 28, and that's going to make it just a little bit harder on these drivers with fuel mileage. You don't want this race to turn into a fuel saving race, but it could very well turn into a mileage race at the end. Usually we're pretty good for getting at least 1 or 2 cautions. Tonight, 0 for the first 22 laps. Very interesting start to this race at a Superspeedway-esque event that usually sees big catastrophic wrecks, honestly. Yeah, we already got takers down pit road on lap 22. Your leaders are the ones trying to stretch it just a little further. But you don't want to stretch it too far here because you've got about 2.5 miles, actually maybe even closer to 3 miles of racetrack from yourself to the pits. Monty's going to stay out another lap here. Honestly, I don't think that's the best mode of attack here. Is you want to probably get in as soon as possible and get your pit stops out of the way. The good part is where they're falling right now means 22-44 race to the finish. It'd have been a little different if they got to lap 28. Really kind of gives you a bit of a head scratcher as to having to pit with 4 laps to go if you go to 28 and 56. But the leaders, they're going to try to run this show a little differently, holding at least a little bit more time on the racetrack. And that's kind of where Sigma officials had decided on the length of this race. Give it at least a 2-stopper feel so that kind of get a fair shake of pit stops. It's kind of hard to treat this track like a true super speedway, and you can't really treat it like a road course either because there's really no technical zones. It's just a lot of very fast turns and straightaways. And so I don't think we'll actually focus on competition cautions like we do at Daytona, Talladega, the super speedway tracks where if they lose the draft, they sort of fall way out of contention. So this track treated just a little bit differently. The leaders making their pit stop here on lap 24. That means their next pit stop will be lap 48. And a nice, neat little 16 lap, or rather short stint at the end, about 12 laps. And it's going to take a lap or two to really see where everyone shakes out here. That may actually be for position. Lucas Holmes nailed it on the pit stops. I don't know where he came from. I know that he qualified deep in the field, but as first round of green flag pit stops have come and gone, Lucas Holmes up front, James Fireball Robert as well. That's going to be your lead. Oh, bump with the 26 of Holmes. He kind of ran into James Fireball Robert there. That could have gone bad. Luckily, the 95 was very aware of his surroundings and didn't get turned. But the other cars are ready to go around him to try and fight for the lead. Tadenberger picking up where he left off on the pit stops there. And honestly, everyone else pretty much close. But the big gainer, the 26 of Lucas Holmes with the where the hell did he come from charge to the front of the field on pit stops. Well, if we're seeing that kind of contact in the race, there may be a caution. Could be a wreck. They're racing a little bit more aggressively as the race grows older here tonight. And for right now, Taden Bergeron holding down the charge at the front of the field here on lap 25. Well, after leaving Texas last week, Lucas Holmes, whoa, we got a blown engine in the background there. Who's blowing up? Ah, man, tough break for Courting Brothers Motorsports. That is Tom Courting. We're going to throw a full course caution for that one, as there's going to be oil down on the track. Severe blown engine out of the 30 machine. Here he is running in 13th here on lap 25, 3 wide for possibly top 10. And all of a sudden coming through the very sharp left-hand downhill section of the track. Sending it maybe a little too hard here today. Engine goes kaboom. So KBM, the Cadillacs, they're fast, that's for sure. But with great speed comes great responsibility, and also, you know, kind of testing that durability. So tough break for the 30 machine. The rest of the team better hope that that problem doesn't rear its ugly head for the rest of the night with their other drivers. It's crazy that we were able to make it here to nearly halfway without a caution. Still no big wreck, but the oil down forced Sigma full course caution here tonight. So it's going to be hard to tell right now. I'm not sure if we're going to see any takers down pit road. And as you see now, there's just a couple. This caution just comes at a very rough time because you cannot make it to the finish here at halfway. They're going to try to run all the way to their next pit stop. Well, you have a couple drivers here deciding to try and play the strategy game just a little bit. The only true advantage that this gives is that they can get off strategy just a little bit. Now they can stretch it to maybe lap 50. And maybe even 52, somewhere between laps 50 to 52 for that final pit stop. And just take a quick gas and go, maybe minimal tires, 2-tire change even. So yeah, strategies are strategies, and we'll see how they unfold. Obviously, Ewan Wood Army has the fastest lap in the race, and he is one of those drivers that took this alternate strategy to heart, so we'll see. The only other downside to that is you get stuck back there with the squirrels, and the last thing you want to do is get caught up in a wreck not of your doing just by getting off strategy here tonight. So lights are still on the pace car. This will give us a little bit of a moment here to check the lap lead tally once again. Most laps led here tonight through 28 laps. It is Taden Berggren with the most laps led. He still being kind of the big surprise breakout star of the season. We also have Monty Shangle with 7 laps led, and Sebastian Torres with 2, along with Preston Kundo leading 6 laps here today. I believe those are our 4 different leaders. I'm not sure if we've got any other leaders outside the top 30 there that are not pictured. But once they come around and start finish line, this time the lights should go off on the pace car, and we'll be back to racing right at halfway on lap 30. Uh-oh, Monty from the lead has a mechanical failure here. Flat tire on the 16 machine. Man, what in the world? The lights are staying on the pace car, so this may be a lucky break for Monty that he can get it down pit road. He's going to have to drive through the grass, the dirt, and just try to labor this thing back to pit road, while everyone else not sure what to do at the moment with the flat tire 16 machine there. Now, once you start getting to this point in the race, that's where you start seeing the mechanical failures, the weird and wonky. And obviously the 30 is the reason why we're under caution here, the blown engine. Not sure how the 16 machine got a flat tire, but he's going to have to come from behind here tonight with still half the race to go. Here that you've got the flat tire, and here that you've got the flat tire, and you got to make your way around the racetrack without losing it. So that will swap the lead over to Calvin Shangle Racing 26 machine of Lucas Holmes, runner-up last week at Texas. It was kind of interesting how this was starting to pan out. It looked like Lucas Holmes was going to have to try and go mano-a-mano against another Shangle here, as it was him and Jacob duking it out at Texas. And then we were starting to get the Monty versus Lucas battle here today at Papyrus. But just a little bit of bad luck at the moment. This, honestly, kind of puts him on an alternate strategy like the one we were talking about. He's going to come down pit road here, I'm sure, get some fuel, obviously get a fresh set of tires. and he's going to be at the back of the field. We know that the 16 machine can go 24 laps. That means he's going to have to pit again on lap 54 with 6 laps to go. So it's not a deal breaker. It's not a day ender. And quite on the contrary, he's going to have fresh tires at the back of the field. So hopefully he doesn't get stuck in a mistake not of his doing. But from the fastest car on track all the way to the back, he only took 2 tires. He only took the side that was flat. So right front flat, they swapped the right front and right rear. I'm sure they tapped it off on gas just a little bit. So kind of a no harm and no foul situation, because they turned the lights back on the pace car to give him an opportunity to get around and get his pit services done. He's going to rejoin the race in 43rd. And it's going to be interesting to see him come charging from the back with half the race to go. What's the polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? I saw an Al Bunch sighting in the top 15, top 20? No, not quite. 25, top 25. Tyler Shangle back in the top 10. Alrighty, we get doubled up for the restart. Not sure how this is going to unfold now that we're going to get our first official restart of the race. This could get pretty wild. No cars have retired yet. Oh, except for the 30, of course. The 30 of Tom Cording. Blown engine. Pardon me. Blown engine for him has sent him to the garage. So 42 cars left running here tonight. Pace car is off. 30 laps in, 30 laps to go. Lucas Holmes and DeBlanc lead them to the first restart this evening. And James Fireball Robert there, he's hoping that his engine doesn't go into a fireball like his boss man just a handful of laps ago. But look at that. Fireball, he's flirting with the idea of trying to take the lead here. Gets there alongside Lucas Holmes. He's going to be on the outside, though, going into this turn if he stays up there. Falls in line, which is probably the best thing he could have done. And here they are on the right-hander. Fireball trying to set himself up for the opportunity on the advantage line, going through the left and right-handers. Lucas Holmes, though, has the lead. John Hagan up to 4th. Tyler Shangle up into the top 10, looking for a top 5. How about Wyatt Wilkinson closing in on a top 10 at the moment? And holy cow, the 42 of Brandon Butler II. Let's just take a quick glance at qualifying lineup here today, because I want to say he was down at the tail end. 38th for Brandon Butler, and here he is up to 7th. That in its own is impressive, that he's got the ability to charge through the field like no one else this season. Those are some statistics that are not to be scoffed at, you know. Yeah, it sucks that you can't get the qualifying setup figured out, but when it comes to race day, Sometimes it's all it takes is getting that race setup put in the 42 machine, and he finds his way up to the front meticulously and methodically. James Fireball Robert takes the top spot away from Lucas Holmes. And let us jump to the tail end of the field here. Eli the Wolf maybe suffering some mechanical failures as well. Engine blown up for the 94 of Eli the Wolf. It looks like he might be out. So yeah, Monty now has to deal with traffic for the first time here tonight. And it's kind of thrown him for a curveball. It looks like he's been able to pick up about 5 spots. But if you're at that rate, picking up only about 5 spots every lap here, every 1 or 2 laps, it's you're gonna run out of time. Could get interesting though. We'll have to keep our eyes on that storyline. Whoa, John Hagan to the top spot. Came from 3rd, got around. We got to keep our eyes on the front though. That's where all the action is here tonight, and it's going to be kind of a revolving door of leaders, it seems. Lucas Holmes had the lead for the restart, but has been duking it out with the 95 and the 88 pretty hardcore here. Good run from the 26 machine. The 88's got the lead though. Keep your eyes on Tyler Shangle, the number 7 machine. He knows how to get around this racetrack. It is probably one of his stronger tracks in the super speedway category, at least, that he's been able to get some very exciting wins here at Papyrus Motorsports Park. Top 5 at the moment. He's going to be catching up to the 85 of Brian DeBlanc there for position. Whoa, he got a little bit loose and lost some ground. The 42 almost ran into him there. '94 hasn't retired yet, but he's still sitting there trying to get it fixed. John Hagan led the last lap. He's going to add a second lap lead to his tally here tonight. Leads lap 35, but the rest of the field behind him won't let him run away with it idly. Fireball takes the top spot. Hagan falls back to second. Lucas Holmes still holding on solidly in the top 5. And now Brandon Butler II carrying that speed up to the front. And how about this? It seems like same song, different verse for Taden Berggren. Where in the world has he fallen in the field here tonight? 11. Not terrible, but kind of surging in the wrong direction when you need to be running up front past halfway here. So Wilkinson at least is trending in the right direction. Finlay Herwig's been solidly holding his position in the top 10 here tonight. Cooper Dwight showing up at the end of this one, and Lewis Trost as well. We were just talking about him maybe getting it figured out and fighting for wins. Well, here he is in the top 10, running 8th at the moment. Let's bounce back to the back of the field and see the progress from the 16 machine of Monty Shangle up to 33rd. It's going to be a slow, grueling drag through the field here as, now that about 3 more laps have gone, he's only made up about 3 more spots. But the big thing is going to be strategies and the fuel mileage and all that stuff still going to factor in at some point here tonight. Chad Hertenstein there in the top 25. Ooh, Ryan Little, he got the Papyrus stripe here tonight. I'm not going to rewind because I know exactly where that sidewall damage came from. That one right-hander where you slide up just a little too high. The cars tend to do that here at Papyrus, and another one got claimed by that outside wall. Wow, Sebastian Galloway Jr. up into a top 20 at the moment. Jimmy Logano, Carson Bowers, Bradley Ream, top 15. Finley Herwig goes from 8th all the way back to 15th. Ow, whoa, and he's getting run into there by Carson Bowers. So Finley maybe having a little bit of tire wear off here, dropping like a rock. 8th back to 16th at the moment. Tasha, on the other hand, it looks like she's maybe cracked her way up into the top 10. Lucas Holmes back to the top spot, takes it away from John Hagan. So for John Hagan, he's still seeking his first career Cup win. He was able to win one race in trucks, one race in Bridge to Cup. That Cup win has not yet come for the 88 team. An avid iRacer, racing pretty much weekly in the iRacing side of things. Proven wheelman, especially when it comes to a truck in the NASCAR Truck Series and whatnot. But if you put him behind the wheel of just about anything, he'll figure it out. He'll even go beyond that and start figuring out the nuances of said car and try to find the advantages. I mean, isn't that what all racers are about, is pushing the envelope and learning what they can do and the car is capable of, and pushing, you know, the boundaries of what the rules are actually suggesting you should be doing with the car. So good run here from Hagan. We haven't seen this kind of speed out of him here in the Cup side of things, but seems like the Genesis program has kind of turned a new page here in 2026. James Fireball Robert slingshot, try to go around the 88 here. He's going to carry that momentum through the turn and then down onto the front stretch. Fastest lap has not changed. It's still Ewan What Army with that fast lap time here tonight. Tyler Shangle bulldozing his way up to 4th there. Gets Brian DeBlanc a little bit out of sorts. Pushes him up a groove. And here we have pretty much top 5, top 6, all within a shot to fight for the lead here tonight with 20 laps to go. So if you look up above at the ticker right now, you're going to start seeing those that are on that alternate strategy a little bit. Still going to keep an eye out for Monty Shangle. Ewan What Army on that alternate strategy, currently running in 29th. Lynn Farrell in 30th, Craig the Void 31st, and 32nd. That's where Monty is at the moment, so he's going to be able to stay out a little bit longer than some of these folks up front leading right now, who are going to have to pit probably around lap 48 to 50. Monty, on the other hand, could stretch it to nearly lap 54 before making that final stop. Well, this is a unique one, as Tyler Schengel must have pitted. Okay, yeah, so your pit stop's 28 laps to go. Man, that is way too early. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to the finish with that or not, because we were only seeing 24 laps, so very early segment of pit stops here on the second round for these drivers. But I think everyone else is having to deal with the same woes here as the field continues to get shaken up with pit stops. We'll see what happens here. Honestly, if they can make it to a lap 46, they'll be golden. But those drivers that already pitted, not looking very good. Must have burnt a little bit extra fuel somewhere throughout the last stint, which is weird because we even spent 5 laps under caution. So. Now we got Taden moving back up to second here. Wyatt Wilkinson with a top 5 at the moment. Sebastian Torres and the 41 of Cooper Dwight as well. Secondary group, you've got the 77 of Preston Kundo, the 50 of Liz Shangle, 21 of Chad Hertenstein, the 60 of Jacob Shangle, 18 of Chaz Chadwick. Crowther, Farrell, Craig the Void, Ewan What Army, and even Chris Harvey, your top 15 at the moment. These drivers obviously have the better alternate strategy here, as they're sticking it out as long as they can. Other drivers, though, had to pit yet again. It looks like Monty made one final pit stop. Not sure what's going on with the fuel mileage on the Fords here today. Very interesting strategy calls, I must say. Very, very interesting. If they're panning on no more cautions here tonight, that's going to be a long push. And you'll be out there on old tires while everyone else comes in for fresh tires, full tank of gas. Some big brain, heavy IQ moves being made here, because if they think that the leaders are turning slow laps right now, they're taking advantage of those fresh tires ASAP. Yeah, your leaders, they're roughly losing about 2 seconds a lap right now, the longer they stay out. Every lap they stay out is 2 seconds they lose to the grand scheme of things. Sebastian Torres, the last one to stay out, which is in a road course super speedway, that is miles. You're losing a lot of time to the rest of the competition here, so. So it should be John Hagan back to the lead once they get this all sorted. Still staying out, though. A big group of them continue to stay out. Torres, Kundo, Crowther, Shangle, Chadwick, Farrell, Craig the Void, Ewan What Army, Braden Varga, and even Kevin Xavier. You can see he's slow. He's almost 3 seconds off the pace with that 14 machine. And then you got John Hagan. This will be back to the lead. We know that Tyler Shangle took the early pit stop as well, and he's right there amongst your 3 leaders. 4th place would likely be Luis Rodriguez, and 5th place Brandon Butler the 2nd once things all shake out here. Here we got a couple more. Your new leader is going to be Alex Crowther. And Jacob Shangle going on the inside on the attack here. So the last round of pit stops really did kind of get changed up here. It really opened up the door for whenever you wanted to make that last pit stop. I was talking like making those pit stops on the 28 lap window. But instead, the drivers are kind of spreading it out and picking and choosing where they think it'll work the best to get them the win. Another blown engine. That is the Honda Accord of Tristan Reams. Lots of continued RPMs revving, breaking and busting parts on these engines. We're going to keep it green, though. It doesn't seem like the entirety of the track is going to be a mess. We'll see if it stays green, because 15's almost in harm's way with them heading down pit road. Rest of your leaders making their pit stop here. Kevin Xavier, he's going to close. Whoa, really close on the back bumper of the 15. Tristan Reams retires with an ignition failure. Clutch failure on the 94 of Eli the Wolf. What the hell happened to Brian DeBlanc? He had a great run going, and now he's missing his front hood. How in the world did he get crumpled up? Made his pit stop. Ah, man. What in the world? No. It was just the 43 exiting his pit stall right there in front of the 85. Dude, I don't know how much bad luck a driver can have, but Brian DeBlanc has all of the bad luck. I don't know why he's cursed so badly. He's even very much stressed it on the server. It's like there's some kind of ghost that follows him around no matter what. It sucks. I mean, had a great car. It would have been between him and maybe even Taden Berggren for the win here today. But unfortunately, had to make one more pit stop to get the hood ripped off. I'm sure he is just absolutely fuming in the cockpit here tonight. That wasn't even his fault. That, you know, if anything, Taden Berggren should have exercised a little bit more caution on exiting his pit stall there. Wow. So now it's back to the lead with John Hagan, Lucas Holmes, and Tyler Shangle, your top three. The rest of the field, let's look. Up to fourth, it is Brandon Butler the second, a stellar performance for that 42 machine. The 55 of Luis Rodriguez, the highest running KBM entry now, up to fifth. And then you have Carson Bowers, James Fireball Robert. How about that? Sebastian Galloway Jr. in a part-time limited schedule. He has found his way up into a top 10 run here tonight. He's right there, ninth, ahead of Louis Trost in 10th. Then you have Taden Berggren, a little bit crumpled up in the rear end, but he's still soldiering on, trying to get a top 15, maybe even a top 10 if he gets back up with the leaders there. Sebastian Torres, Cooper Dwight, Wyatt Wilkinson, and Dave Steele Jr. top 15. Chad Hertenstein, Chaz Chadwick, Alex Crowther, Al Bunch for a top 20. Jacob Shangle, Liz Shangle, Tasha Wright, Jimmy Logano, Preston Kundo, Lynn Farrell, Finlay Herwig, ouch. Man, had a top 10 run going, but it looks like he's going to have to settle for top 25 or top 30, unfortunately. Bradley Ream, Greg the Void, Chris Harvey, Ewan Wood-Army, and Monty Shangle led a bunch of laps here tonight, but unfortunately losing that lead draft at a very, very pivotal time in the race has cost him a good run here tonight. It looks like 10 laps to go. Braden Varga, Rich Roy, Tyler Aspinall, Kellen Relic, Trevor Walker, Tyler Landa, Kara Shangle, Kevin Xavier, Ryan Little, and Brian DeBlanc. Well, now Lucas Holmes is going to have to fight against another Shangle here tonight. It seems to be at least 2 weeks strong, a trend where you've got a Shangle and a Holmes fighting tooth and nail for the win. But the only difference here tonight is you've also got a John Hagan right there leading the way right now with just 9 laps to go. It's a 3-car breakaway. It's a 3-car fight for the win. Yeah, it is. I guess it is kind of a... It feels longer. It's only been an hour and 15 minutes. It's definitely shorter on the Cup standards where we usually run 2 to 3 hour races. But the only way that I could really make a double header of this was to run Papyrus as one of those races where it's definitely the kind of the intermediate race anyways. It's a shorter length endurance race, kind of an intermediate length. There we go, Tyler Shangle getting up there alongside Lucas Holmes. He's going to have his eyes set on that 88 machine, the Mountain Dew Genesis of John Hagan. Can Hagan get the job done, or will Tyler find yet another victory here at Papyrus. His past results here, I think he's gotten at least 2 or 3 wins at Papyrus over the years. It's a track that the Shangles have figured out how to win at. Monty's won here before. It's kind of their home away from home in some cases. Seems like whenever we come here, you can expect to see a Shangle running up front. No doubt about it. Yeah, Tyler won this race in 2011. September 11th, 2011, Papyrus Motorsports Park. Tyler Shangle took home victory, the first race here ever. Well, and then he came back to win it again in 2020, where it was the narrowest margin of victory ever in a Sigma Cup race. He ended up beating Aaron Rapp by .0001 seconds. That's the closest margin ever recorded in Sigma history. But there's a little bit of added incentive here tonight for Tyler to add another win to this track. His brother just got a win at Texas last week and has closed the gap a little bit to the winning all-time wins list that currently is held by Tyler Shangle. So, yeah, I think maybe lighten the fire a little bit. Tyler wants to keep that title as the winningest driver in Sigma history away from his brother, and finds his way up here with 7 laps to go in the number 7 machine. Still a lot can pan out here, but looking good so far, as all he's got to do is hold on. John Hagan ain't going to let him go without a fight. They're going to duke it out here to the finish. Hagan trying to bring a win for Jacob in JSR, as that would be the first win for Genesis JSR Racing this year. Well, we're down to 6 laps to go. Still just a 3-dog fight for the win. So Jacob Shangle won here at Papyrus back in 2016. Tyler won it in 2011 and 2020. I'm still looking through all the years of Papyrus, doing it the old school way of actually going back and looking at each race, each individual season schedule. I want to say that mostly each Shangle has gotten a win at Papyrus at some point. Yeah, there you go. Monty Shangle, 2018. So this has been a track very kind to the Shangle household, as they've pretty much found ways to get victories at Papyrus without fail. Tyler, though, the only driver I want to say that's had multiple wins at this track. 2011 and 2020. He's letting Hagan get a little bit further away here, though, so he better be careful. Yep, there it was, August 18th, 2020. The narrowest margin. It only shows .00 on the main results screen, but it was actually .0001, the margin of victory. And it took us about 3 days to actually crown Tyler the winner that day. I mean, it was 3 days later. We didn't really want to just give it to him based on scoring alone. We looked at camera footage. For him, the Dodge had a different nose that made it look less likely to be across the finish line first. But the longer we looked at it, the harder we looked at it, it was hard to deny that Tyler Shingle got the closest win in Sigma history. 2021 is going to be the last of the pre-modern era, and that was non-Shingle wins. So I'll look back at the records another time, but here we are with 4 laps to go. Can Tyler maybe add a third win to his name here at Papyrus, or will John Hagan and Lucas Holmes steal the show? No matter what, your top 3 at the moment, heck, even your top 4 would be a first-time winner this season. So it would continue the streak of potentially 7 different winners in the first 7 races this season. Tyler gets around. Look at the other drivers closing the gap. It could be about a 6-car fight for the win by the end of this thing. We'll go ahead and add green-white checkered if we need it. Lucas Holmes, he's got a good run here on the Genesis of John Hagan. Lose a little bit of ground there. 3 laps to go. 3 laps is a long ways around this track. It's more like 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes with the 3-mile long Roadcourse Superspeedway. What could make this interesting, though, is the fact that Brandon Butler II is right there knocking on the door. This may be the only track on the calendar where you can see a momentum run through this corner here that actually amounts to a race-winning pass. Not very many tracks are you able to carry that kind of momentum, then come down the front stretch, drag racing down to the finish line, and actually steal a win. That's what's so fascinatingly unique about this Roadcourse Superspeedway is the opportunities you get to actually make a pass right at the start-finish line. And I wonder if that's what they kind of planned when they designed this track, to give us a little bit more photo finish moments like that. Tyler Shingle's going to have the advantageous inside line here. 42 thought about going around the other side. Running out of laps. We're down to just 2 laps to go. John Hagan kind of stinking up the show with these last couple laps, ticking away. Lap traffic ways up there. Tough break for the folks that had such great runs here tonight that just got nabbed away from them, unfortunately. Looking at the likes of the 16 of Monty Shangle, perhaps even the 43 of Taden Berggren, whom all led plenty of laps here tonight. And now it's kind of a smorgasbord of drivers looking for their first time win here tonight. John Hagan's gonna catch Brian DeBlanc at the worst time. It's gonna be on the white flag lap, and the rest of the traffic behind him is gonna want to try and jump on him. Yeah, Brian DeBlanc, he's running about 4 seconds slower. There's no way he's gonna be able to not hold up your leaders by the end of this. 42 keeps going on the high side, which is not the way to make the move here, because that gives that inside line to the guy right ahead of him. Good run, though. Brandon Butler trying to go around the outside, railing. He's going to get around the 7 of Tyler. Yeah, Tyler's going to have the inside line, though. John Hagan's going to see the white flag. One more lap here tonight. No caution. No green-white checkers. White flag means this race is official. Brandon Butler up to 3rd. Brandon Butler trying to make the opportunity count the most here as he gets right there behind the 26 Lucas Holmes looks to try and take the lead away from John Hagan. Hagan's going to go high. 85 is going to stay low. 26 of Holmes takes the lead. 85 stays high here. That's going to give Brandon Butler a good drafting partner in Tyler Shangle there. Ooh, and Tyler's going to quit Brandon Butler as Butler goes low on the 85. Brian DeBlanc is going to play spoiler here and hold up your leaders just a little bit. 26 kind of a lone up front as he's cruising away with this one. Lucas Holmes, against all odds, I don't think anyone had him on the bingo board here tonight. Survived all the attrition and the craziness and may very well win the race. Here he is coming down the front stretch for the last time tonight. It's going to be Calvin Steele Racing with the 26 machine of Lucas Holmes taking the win here tonight. Brandon Butler the second, comes home in second, John Hagan third, Tyler Shangle fourth, and James Fireball Robert with a fifth. Luis Rodriguez sixth, Louis Trost seventh, eighth place was Carson Bowers, ninth for Sebastian Galloway Jr., and a top 10 run for Jacob Shangle. Win last week, top 10 this week. 11th belongs to Wyatt Wilkinson. 12th, Sebastian Torres. Chaz Chadwick in the 13th position. Cooper Dwight, 14th. Preston Kundo, 15th. Peyton Berger in 16th. Chad Hertenstein, 17th. Tasha Wright, Alex Crowther. Liz Shangle, top 20, with Lynn Farrell, 21st. Jimmy Logano, Dave Steele Jr., Al Bunch, Craig the Void, top 25. Finley Herwig, Bradley Ream, Ewan Wood Army. Monty Shangle comes back for a 29th. Chris Harvey, 30th. And then Braden Varga, Kellen Relic, Tyler Aspinall, and Rich Roy, followed by Kara Shangle with the top 35. Tyler Landa, 36th. 37th, Kevin Xavier. 38th, Ryan Little. Trevor Walker, 39th. And your retirements from 40th on back, other than the one lapper of Brian DeBlanc, Tristan Reams, 15 car, finishes 41st. Eli the Wolf, 42nd. And Tom Cording, dead last. Well, congratulations to the 26 machine of Lucas Holmes for getting the job done here. He ran runner-up last week at Texas and bounces back for a race win here tonight at the Superspeedway. The drivers don't have very much of a relaxed period, though, as they're going to get back into the seats tomorrow night around the 8 Bowl. We didn't see very many big wrecks here tonight, but I guarantee you we will see a big one tomorrow night on Friday the 13th at the 8 Ball Annual. Should be an exciting race. Hopefully all can tune in. Once I get the broadcast closed down here tonight, we'll go ahead and do the sprint qualifier for that race here this evening still over on Twitch.
Frank, did you have any ignition problems?
Well, and that is a wrap for another night of Sigma Cup racing. As I mentioned, do stay tuned for tomorrow night with the 8 Ball Annual. Kind of the same racing that we had here tonight. Some more Superspeedway, very, very odd road course super speedway racing. So thanks to all of you for tuning in here tonight. Very much appreciate it. It was definitely a quicker cup race, so this one was a little bit easier to digest for most of ya. And yeah, with the 8 bowl tomorrow, it's going to be 500-mile, 200-lap race. That one usually goes in about 2.5 hours, so it should still be relatively quick, but it's going to be a long race nonetheless. So with that, though, I would like to bid y'all farewell. Have a great night and stay safe out there. Until next time, this is Jakester signing out.